Hello everybody and welcome back to TFX. Continuing with Detective Conan, today I'll be reviewing the second movie, The 14th Target, which aired on April 18th, 1998. This movie starts off with Ron seeing her mother Eri get shot in front of her, which turns out to be a dream. Ron calls Eri to talk about it, and after the call ends, we see a scar on her leg. Switch over to a prison, a man named Murakami Joe comes out, and in his notebook, it says Baker City, Mori Kogoro. Then it transitions to the detective boys who are waiting for Professor Agasa. While the boys are sitting on a bench, Ayumi plays around with a love oracle, and it tells her that she and Conan are a perfect match, at least to her. We're looking at Conan's fortune, it says, an A is in your future. A actually means kiss. After Agasa finally shows up, they go to the Total Aeronautic Memorial Museum, where Mitsuko comes up with a quiz, which we see in pretty much every movie from now on, though it's usually Agasa who comes up with them. Anyways, this is the quiz. Does anyone know the answer? Now, the answers to these quizzes are usually puns, or you have to change the spelling, so you need to have some understanding of the Japanese language. Anyways, here's the answer. They meet Shishido Eime, a photographer. Ron and Sonoko meet Nishina Minoru, who writes cookbooks. And there's a funny scene where after he gives Ron his autograph, she tells him to keep writing tasty books. Makes sense, right? It's cookbooks. Osane Nana, a model who drives very recklessly. During this, Murakami Joe knocks on the door of the Mori Detective Agency, but no one's there. Now, Ron has set up a dinner with her family because her parents have split up 10 years ago after a huge argument when she was 7. They're not divorced, they're just not living together. So she's doing this to get them back together. As they prepare, we meet Asahi Katsuyoshi, the owner of Aqua Crystal, essentially an aquatic entertainment center. At the restaurant, they meet Tsuji Hiroki, Kogoro's acquaintance, and a professional golfer who is training for the US Open. As a refresher, he plans to take a flight tomorrow. He flies his own helicopter. During dinner, we meet Sawaki Kohei, a sommelier. Now, the dinner is Ron's attempt at making her parents reconnect, which works for a bit, but Conan fans know that it does not last. Because then he sees Okano Toako and Peter Ford, who he believes is flirting with her. Unsurprisingly, it does not end well. However, this is nothing compared to what they'll face next, because a week after, Inspector Megure is shot by an arrow while out for a run. Eri receives a box of her favorite chocolate, and we meet Kuriyama Midori, her assistant who's not canon at this point. She believes Kogoro sent her, so she eats one and gets poisoned. Then Conan visits Agasa to get his skateboard fixed, until someone throws a rock through his front door and shoots him using a crossbow. Pay close attention to this person. Conan chases the culprit, but he loses them. Now, an object was found at each of these attempted murder scenes. Megure's is a sword, Eri's is a flower, and Agasa's is this. Guess where they're from? The answer is playing cards, specifically spades King, Queen, and Jack, and each victim's name contains the number. Megure's first name, Juzo, can be read as 13. Eri's last name, Kisaki, means queen in English. And the last character of Agasa's first name, Hiroshi, is the combination of 10 and 1, aka 11. Of course, they're also connected to Kogoro. They suspect the culprit to be Murakami Joe, who we should recall. He's a former card dealer who was released from prison. We see a photo of him back when he was a card dealer. Again, pay close attention. Now they suspect him because Kogoro's the one who arrested him for murder 10 years prior, so he may be out for revenge, which is something I didn't mention. Kogoro's a former police officer. The next target will have 10 in their name, and one person comes to mind, Toako, though she's fine. Previously, Shiratori mentioned an incident, and it turns out that when Murakami was arrested and interrogated, he used a toilet break to try to escape by taking Eri hostage, because Ron and Eri were basically in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, an officer should never shoot in the hostage situation, as that will put the hostage's life at risk. But Kogoro did. In fact, he injured Eri, hence the scar on her leg, causing Murakami to let go of her and to get arrested. However, this incident led to Kogoro quitting the force. Ran initially forgot about this as the mind tends to block out traumatic memories, but now she remembers. Conan calls her as Shinichi and she asks if he would have done the same. He doesn't know, but says that although Kogoro shot Eri, was it the whole truth? There's still other unanswered questions. If it's Murakami, why would he leave behind evidence that point to him? And he spent the last 10 years in jail, so how could he have found out about Kogoro's acquaintances, let alone knowing Eri's favorite chocolate? That aside though, Towako isn't the only one with a 10 in her name. Another person fits that criteria, Suji Hiroki, who is planning to go on a helicopter ride. The police warn him not to go, but he doesn't listen, so Megure and Kogoro escort him, which doesn't sit well with Kogoro since he's scared of heights. Conan, being Conan, sneaks on board too. Now, before the flight, Suji applies some eye drops, but they're about to have a huge issue because suddenly he can't keep his eyes open anymore in direct sunlight. With Suji's help, Conan tries to land the helicopter at Teitan Elementary, and while doing this, he contacts the detective boys with the detective badge to ask them to help evacuate the schoolyard. The helicopter crashes due to getting caught in a downdraft, and they escape just before it explodes due to a fuel leak. It turns out someone replaced Suji's eye drops with mydriatic drops, which causes the pupils to dilate and become light sensitive. Because the effects will last for 10 to 14 days, he has to withdraw from the US Open. The eye drop was switched in the morning where Suji applied them in his car, but then someone threw a rock at his window, so after he left the eye drops in the car, he went inside to check. Obviously the culprit, since the same happened to Agasa and the 10 of spades card was found. Next target is the number 9. Kogoro can't think of anyone, but he does know someone with an 8 in their name, Sawaki Kohei. As such, they visit him to warn him. Now during this we learn that 1, he has a large wine collection as his family owns an orchard, 2, there's a dent in the floor which he claims was due to him dropping a wine bottle, and 3, he owns Chateau Petrus, which he apparently drank. I'm no wine expert, so if anyone knows anything about it, feel free to comment down below. Now he plans to meet Asahi Katsuyoshi, a businessman in Aqua Crystal. Kogoro knows him since he once hired Kogoro to find his pet cat, and he has a 9 in his name. They decide to join Sawaki to protect them, and we see a bit of tension between Ran and her father. Kogoro doesn't want her to come, which I get it. He may not seem reliable most of the time, but he cares a lot about his daughter. Ran still wants to come, since the culprit's attacking people who are connected to him. The Aqua Crystal looks cool, and it definitely fits the idea of an aquatic building. However, they aren't the only ones there to see Asahi. There's also Nana, Shishido, Nishina, and Peter Ford. Their appointments are all at 3 o'clock in an underwater restaurant, which they must board a monorail to get to. Now, like Kogoro being afraid of heights, Nishina is afraid of water and can't swim. I love the way Ran stares at her father. It shows things being awkward between them, which makes sense since her father literally shot her mother. They arrive at the restaurant, but Asahi's not there. Fearing that the culprit got to him, they search for him, but they don't find him. Oh, it turns out pretty much all of them have a number in their name. Nana is 7, Shishido is 6, Kogoro is 5, Ford is similar to 4 in English, Shiratori is 3 as his full name is Shiratori Ninzaburo, Nishina is 2, and Ran thinks that Shinichi could be 1, because based on his personality, he would definitely come. In reality, he did come. They just don't know that Conan is Shinichi. Out of the people invited, only Nishina and Shishido are connected with Murakami. I love how they set up a little mystery because Nana seems to have remembered something, but she doesn't tell them after hearing that Murakami was released from prison 8 days ago. Instead, she changes the topic by criticizing Nishina's taste, as she thinks that the restaurants he recommended in his book all sucked. She challenges him to a wine taste test, and he guesses wrong while Sawaki guesses it correctly. They decide to get drinks while waiting for Asahi. After getting juice, Conan gives Ran one, but he drops his under the table. And after getting them, Kogoro helps himself to them, since he can't drink beer at a time like this. Conan goes back to the kitchen to get more and sees Sawaki, apparently trying to taste chili powder. As for why they are there, it turns out that they received a call from Asahi's secretary, and in Nana's case, a present too, a very expensive nail polish. She applies it on her nails and draws on the wine cork with it. Then Peter finds a paper note written by Asahi on the floor addressed to Sawaki, telling him that he'll be late, and thus asks Sawaki to treat everyone with wine from the wine cellar. which is weird considering Conan did not see this note when he went to pick up his juice earlier. They decide to explore the wine cellar, and while looking for wine, Sawaki almost gets hit by an arrow from a crossbow trap, with the 8 of spades there, which they think was set up by Murakami along with the letter. The fact that the culprit went from 10 to 8 suggests that Asahi is most likely dead, and unfortunately this is proven to be correct. As they prepare to leave, Asahi's dead body is floating in the fish tank with the 9 of spades. The first murder victim has appeared. To make matters worse, the exit is locked, there's no service, the phone line's been cut, and the emergency exit is blocked with cement, essentially trapping them there. Now, based on the order, Nana is next, who was hiding the fact that she was involved in a hit-and-run incident 3 months ago. She was driving recklessly as usual and ended up injuring a motorcycle driver before fleeing the scene, which doesn't seem to be related to this case. As such, they decide to search for other exits, leaving Ran, Conan, and Nana in the restaurant. During this, we see a sus individual who takes out a knife and shuts off the power. In the dark, Nana's fingerprints glow pink as her nail polish had fluorescent paint in it, and she almost gets hit with a goblet, causing her to panic. Then we hear a scream and somebody kick the can of juice that Conan placed on the ground. When the power comes back on, we see Nana stabbed to death. The killer tracked and killed her in pitch darkness using the fluorescent paint. We also see something unusual where next to her body are the 7 of spades and Joker. One of her press-on nails have fallen off during the murder, and there's a left handprint on her back, which means the killer is right-handed. But Murakami is left-handed, as shown in the photo. Think back, the person who shot Agasa was right-handed, meaning the culprit isn't Murakami. Since the culprit kicked the juice can Conan left on the floor, they'll have stains on their pants. And I like how the color is doled out to not give away who the culprit is. He goes to get mineral water from the kitchen for everyone to drink, which by doing this he confirmed the killer's motive and found the proof he needed. Just when he does, a bomb goes off, causing another blackout. Just when the emergency lights come on, another explosion breaks the fish tank, causing the restaurant to flood. Kogoro saves Nishina since he can't swim, and everyone's accounted for, except for Ran. Conan takes an empty bottle and dives down. Ran's feet got stuck under a car, and Conan uses the bottle to give her air to breathe. She sees Shinichi briefly, an amazing scene. He tries to lift the car only to get himself stuck, which then leads to one of the most well-known scenes in the Detective Conan franchise, a callback to his fortune near the beginning of the movie. Anyways, this allows him to get his foot out and uses his elastic suspenders to lift the car. Then Kogoro dives down to save Ran, and I love how Conan gets embarrassed here, considering what just happened. On top of the water, they see the 2 to 6 of spades, giving the impression that the killer's trying to kill all of them at once. They escape by swimming out into the ocean, and Conan takes the cards before swimming. They swim to safety, but Nishina is unconscious since he can't swim. Sawaki goes to resuscitate him, but Conan, using Kogoro's voice, stops him and tells Shiratori to do it instead, before putting Kogoro to sleep. He first tells them that Murakami is not the culprit, as he's left-handed, while the culprit is right-handed. The culprit most likely met Murakami after his release before learning about his past with Kogoro and his previous job as a car dealer. After realizing the victims had numbers in their names, they use this to commit the crimes and pin it on Murakami. The real targets are Asahi, Nana, Tsuji, and Nishina, except Nishina got lucky. Now, when you're performing CPR, you tilt the head back and lift the throat up to keep the airway open. If someone pretended to perform CPR while shutting the nose and mouth, the person will die, so it's obvious who the culprit is. Yup, the real serial killer is Sawaki Kohei. He murdered Asahi last night and set up everything. The secretary call, the note under the table, the trap for himself, and Nana's nail polish. The motive is that he suffers from agousia, a condition that takes away someone's sense of taste completely. He managed to name the wine correctly earlier through its color and scent. After finding out that he got this condition, he threw his favorite wine on the floor, which caused a dent in his floor. Conan first suspected him when he saw him tasting chili powder, a no-no for a sommelier who relies on his sense of taste. This was proven when Conan handed everyone mineral water because his glass had salt in it and he didn't react after drinking it. The proof that he's the killer is him having these two things on him. One is the cork that Nana drew on, which was missing from the crime scene as she slipped it into his pocket when he stabbed her, and the ace of spades for Kudo Shinichi, since to him, Shinichi didn't come. Now, ageusia can be caused by stress or injuries to the head, which Sawaki unluckily encountered both. He wanted revenge on the four who caused his condition. The person who Nana almost collided with was Sawaki, hence his head injury. Asahi used his wealth to buy priceless wine but did not take care of them correctly. Nishina claimed to be an expert in wines, but the things he wrote about wine in his books were wrong. And Suji made fun of him in front of his party guests, which hurt his pride as a sommelier. As for Murakami Joe, after his release, he went to Kogoro's detective agency to apologize for what he did to him. But Kogoro wasn't there. Sawaki ran into him there and invited him to his home. He got him drunk and killed him so that he can use him as a scapegoat. Also, it's not outright stated, but I believe the Joker card represents Murakami. Fun fact, you could actually guess it's him earlier because in the scene with the culprit pulling out the knife, you could see his reflection on the knife. He only had 4 actual targets, but what makes him despicable is that he did not give a damn if anyone else died. But then again, his voice actor voiced Frieza from Dragon Ball, so it's not exactly subtle. Anyways, he sets off a bomb to bring down the Aqua Crystal, and during the commotion, he takes Ran hostage before running to the rooftop. He called a helicopter using Asahi's secretary's name beforehand as his escape plan, except it doesn't go his way. When the pilot sees him holding Ran hostage with a knife, he not only didn't land but also called for help. Conan and the others catch up to him, but he's still holding Ran hostage. Meguri's wound has reopened. Shiratori pulls his gun out, but his hands are shaking, which doesn't help considering that he's not great at marksmanship to begin with, so he might hit Ran if he shoots. Sawaki, being the scumbag that he is, wants to escape so he can go kill Suji and himself, along with Ran, so he cannot be allowed to escape. To make matters worse, if they don't resolve this soon, Conan and the others will go down with the building. Sawaki demands Shiratori to hand over his gun, except he doesn't throw it far enough, so Sawaki tells Conan to bring it to him. Conan walks over to pick up the gun, and I love how next we see the scene of Murakami holding Eri hostage, briefly laid on top. This is when he realizes why Kogoro injured Eri 10 years ago, and the way it is done with the reflection on Conan's glasses. So cool. Next thing you know, the voices of the characters are muted and we get one of the coolest scenes in the Conan franchise. Conan aims the gun and then Shinichi's image lays on top of Conan. Then he fires the gun, and the way the scene from 10 years ago flashes momentarily on top of the current scene, peak. Anyways, the bullet grazes Ran's leg and she can't stand, forcing Sawaki to let go of her, which allows Kogoro to take him down. The reason why Kogoro shot Eri was because an injured hostage is a burden for the kidnapper, which would make them let go. Ran is safe, and seeing her realize the truth is great to see, as she finally understands why her father did what he did. Sawaki almost falls into the ocean and wants to die, but Kogoro doesn't let him, because you need to pay for your sins. They all escape on board a helicopter, just as the Aqua Crystal sinks below the water, while the other 3 guys are rescued as well. It's sort of funny how when the moment ends, Kogoro's fear of heights just comes back. Also, Shinichi was taught how to shoot a gun by his dad in Hawaii. As Ran is sent to the hospital, she's been holding the ace of spades and says that Shinichi protected her. You're not wrong, but little do you know, you also saved him. In the post-credit scene after Ran has recovered, she and Conan visit Eri. Things take a hilarious turn because Eri knew why Kogoro shot her, so that's not why she left him. The real reason is because Eri, despite being injured, prepared dinner for him. But Kogoro shouted at her to go rest as her cooking is disgusting. Conan's like, okay, these two are not making up anytime soon. After all, Eri's cooking is inedible. And that's the end of this movie. Overall, I like this movie. It's not my favorite Conan movie, but I think it's good. Props to the idea of playing cards as the MO for this case, but given that 13 characters are needed for this to work, It was bound to have characters that don't matter or don't do much, like Shishido, Toako, and Peter Ford. Shishido and Peter Ford are only there for the MO and to show how despicable the killer is, which they do a great job of showing that. His motive is understandable, and I'll be honest, I did not give a damn when Nana died. She wasn't likable to begin with, and I'm surprised she hasn't killed anyone with her reckless driving. Also, I felt bad for Murakami Joe. He only wanted to make amends but was used as a scapegoat and had no lines in this entire movie. However, the best thing about this movie was the emotional aspect. Seeing Ran and her father's relationship taking a negative turn to the moment where they reconcile, so good. Also, that finale, oh my gosh, one of the most emotional and memorable finales I've ever seen. I like this movie a lot and I would put it in A tier. Definitely recommend this movie. That sums up my thoughts on Detective Conan, the 14th Target. Feel free to comment down below what you thought of this movie. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everybody!